So before we do any presentation at Royal Roads, we always acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Kosepsum and the Kwangan ancestors and families. Learning has been happening here for countless generations. We're so grateful to be on this land. And I also want to acknowledge that we are in such a complex time. You know, we're in month 8 of this global health crisis that has really highlighted all sorts of inequity issues and social issues. And I think many of us are thinking about what the way forward is and hoping to co-create a reality that was better than the one that we had before. And of course, you know, the election is going on. There's just so much happening right now. And you know, I'm so grateful for all of you being here and spending this time today to explore this program and thinking about what the future might look like through education. And we are here to explore the Bachelor of Arts in Professional Communication. So I'm Alana McConaughey. I'm an education advisor with the university. I'm also a graduate from the Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies, and I actually did the first residency for the Bachelor of Communication. So I have a very fond place in my heart for this program. I love my experience very much. And we also have a whole bunch of other folks here who are supporting the call. So of course I have Dr. Geo Takach, who is the program head. So welcome, Geo. And we also have our BAPC grad, Pam Mathieu. So thank you so much for being here, Pam. It's going to be wonderful to talk to you at the end of the presentation. And just in case you see some other folks in the chat box, we have Christine, who's an enrollment advisor, who will be answering questions. We have Jackie, who works in the program area, who's going to be watching out for questions in the chat box. And then we have Mark Dickinson, who is our Pathways coordinator, who is also going to be watching out for questions and backing me up for the technology side of things. So I know a few of you said hello and where you're watching in from, but if you haven't yet, if you want to just put into the chat box where you're watching in from, we'd love to get a sense of who's in the room with us. I see Andrea can't hear anything right now. If somebody could just type to Andrea that maybe she could try switching browsers.
She's good.
She's good now? Okay,
yep.
Wonderful. Awesome. Okay, so we have Noelle from Toronto, and we have Wilson from Toronto as well. We have Andrea from Halifax. Wonderful. Okay, so we have a great room of people. We also have someone from Ucluelet. We have Jamie from Victoria. Awesome. So welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't piped in, please do. And we're going to, I'll let you know what we're going to be up to. So we're going to go through a really brief overview of the Royal Roads experience. I'll be taking you through that. And then we're going to dive right into the program specific information. And then we're going to wrap up with the application process. And then we're actually going to talk to Pam at the end. And we're going to do that so we can have a bit of a Q&A. You can ask us questions about the program. You can also ask Pam about her experience a little bit more. And we will be taking the PowerPoint down for that so we can have a little bit more of a community feel for that. So with that, you might already be familiar with Royal Roads, but perhaps you're not. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown about who we are as the university, because we are a bit different than other institutions. So Royal Roads was created in 1995 with a government mandate to create programs for working professionals. So right from the get-go, it was about creating programs that were intended to give people skills that they could take into their career, and often delivered in an online format so that people could continue working potentially while they did this move through their program. And so right from the get-go, there was a lot of things that we did differently with the recognition of wanting to have kind of this different kind of learning and teaching model. So for one, we go on a first name basis. So I always like to mention that I'm on degree number 2, and I still don't know what my student number is. And I think that in itself is so unique. You know, most of the time our identity is our student number when we're moving through programs. So at Royal Roads, it's really about getting to know who you are, what your background is, what you're interested in, because you're actually entering a learning community. We're all learning from each other. We're all co-creating knowledge. So it requires everyone to be on a first name basis, which takes me to the cohort model. So with this program, you are going to be moving through a cohort. It's a small cohort. I think it maxes out at about 40 people. Is that correct, Geo? 40 people? You're muted. Can't hear you. Geo, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that, Chief Ed. It can go up to 40, more typically high 20s, low 30s for our cohort size.
Okay, great, thank you. So yes, so on the smaller side, so you do have a chance to get to know each other really well and do a lot of work together. There's always a team component to most of your classes. So you do have a lot of individual work, but that teamwork component is important. For one, it really helps you develop that community. So getting to know each other, to work together, to build relationships, to really support your process through the program. But also it's one of the non-technical skills that's actually essential for career development, is being able to work collaboratively with others. And often you're able to come up with something better in a group than you are on your own, because you have, you know, four brains all working together and different skill sets and that sort of thing. So it's actually a really fun aspect, even for those who are feeling really introverted and like, oh, I don't want to do teamwork. It's, you know, I'm an introvert, and it is something that I really did get down with through the program, and there's a lot of support there for that as well. And as I mentioned, we're all about applied skills, being a university that was created for working professionals. So everything that you're learning is really about getting you skills that you're going to use in your career. So perhaps you're somebody who's already within your career and you are wanting to you know, build on your skills as you go along. So there's opportunities to bring what you're learning right into your career. And also there's opportunities to build a portfolio. So you're gonna be doing these real skills that actually are gonna enhance your ability to get a professional job if you're not already working professionally. So lots of opportunities there. And one of the ways that we do this is ensuring that our faculty actually knows what's going on in the industry. So we have what we call a real world classroom. So we have real world professors. So we call them scholar practitioners. So they're individuals who often have an extensive background working in the industry, or they're doing current research, or both sometimes, but they're always ensuring that everything that they're teaching, everything you're reading is actually reflective of what the industry is going on in the industry right now. And any opportunity that people actually have to apply what they're learning in a project that they can actually implement in real time is something that we're really supportive of. And I always like to bring up that we're an Ashoka U Changemaker campus. So this is a really important designation to us. This is basically about how we're always looking for opportunities to bring our learning outside of the classroom. So if you haven't heard of this, I would encourage you to look it up and check it out. And then in terms of the actual physical landscape, so we are starting to go back onto campus. I haven't been there yet, but it is starting to happen. But I definitely miss this place. It's incredibly beautiful. So Hatley Castle, so we're a National Historic Site as well as a university, but just to give you a bit of history about the castle. So the castle was built in the early 1900s. The Dunsmuir family lived there for a few decades, and then I believe they went bankrupt and the federal government took over the land and it became a military college. It was a military college for 55 years. And then in 1995 is when Royal Roads became a public university and came into being. So the actual natural landscape as well is incredibly beautiful. So we're on 565 acres of old growth. Charlie's Trail is actually a trail that runs from the top of the university all the way down to Esquimalt Lagoon. And Esquimalt Lagoon is a bird sanctuary. It also feeds into the ocean. So it's just beautiful everywhere you look, basically. And something we're very proud of right now is that we've been delivering online learning for 25 years. So that is, you know, in our current climate, something that is really been important for us as we've had to pivot to moving everything online. We're quite skilled at that. And just in terms of the blended learning, so Geo's going to be talking about this a little bit more when we go into the different models, but blended learning, you know, you can do this program either on campus, although the on campus is being delivered fully online at the moment, or you can do it through the blended model, which basically means it's mostly online with short-term residencies on campus. So the online learning, we are very, as I mentioned, very skilled at doing this because we've been doing it for so long. The platform that we use is Moodle, and we also use Collaborate for more live sessions. Moodle itself is very good for building community. There's always discussion boards and lots happening on there. It's very intuitive in terms of how to navigate it. And it's actively facilitated, so you actually have professors that are interacting with you there as well. All the supports that you would imagine would be available are, of course, we have an IT department, we have a writing center that can help you, we have library, research assistants, and as well as academic strategy and counseling. And we also have all of these available online as well. So right right now is you're needing online supports. That's there for you. And then the on-campus and online residencies. So again, these were traditionally on campus, and these would be really immersive experiences. I mentioned I did one a number of years ago when I did my undergrad. Well, it wasn't that long ago, it was a couple years ago. I did my undergrad, and it's 2 weeks long, very immersive. Usually we have the little 9 to 5 with a plus next to it because you're in class all day, and then you're usually doing teamwork at night. But it's wonderful because it's a time where you actually get to make the learning be the front seat, because when you're, if you're working while you're doing the online, often you're trying to balance a bunch of things, but this is a time to really focus on the learning and get to know your cohort. But we have been able to transfer this into an online format and had a lot of success with that as well. So you would still have the same immersive experience, it would just be delivered online. And with that, I'm gonna let Geo take it away.
Thank you very much, Alana, and welcome everyone. I'll just start with a note on the residency. Our annual residency is the highlight of our year. Our program team gets really stoked about the residency because we plan some, hopefully for you, fun plenary events. And we put together a Tetris puzzle of a basket of courses that you take on an intensive basis during the residency. And we have made the decision very recently for 2021, FYI, to keep the residency online. There are too many uncertainties around what's going to be happening in May, and we understand that students have busy lives and need to plan in advance. The demographic in our program tends to be a little more established, more senior. People are a little further along in their lives and their careers than in the on-campus program, which is where you do everything in a year. This 2-year blended model is specifically designed for working professionals, for folks who have jobs or things that keep them occupied during the day. Sometimes children or pets, which are often indistinguishable in my mind, and volunteer and other responsibilities. So you need to set aside some time to do this work, but the beauty of it is the flexibility of it. And there are several things that make Royal Roads unique, which is frankly why I am there. First and foremost, I heartily recommend you have a look at something called the Learning, Teaching and Research Model, LTRM, which contains the values that Royal Roads espouses, and it's actually what drew me to the campus. Fun thing about the campus, though, it is a smaller university, and on my shortly after I got there, I looked at the first iteration of the LTRM and I stormed into the Vice President Academics office and said, in terms of the content of the document, this is absolutely brilliant. I'm totally behind the idea of cohort-based learning because it certainly changed. In my second degree, I took a cohort-based program and it changed my whole attitude towards learning and school. And there's so much richness that comes with learning with the same group of people throughout your program, taking a common body of courses, getting to know each other, building a network that will last the rest of your life, if not longer. The idea of practical applied learning. I love theory. See, what is theory? It's ways of seeing things, right? I even teach theory. However, how much sweeter is theory than if you can apply it for a useful purpose to make something better? Your life, your relationship, your family, your organization, your community, your province, your planet, right? So I really recommend the LTRM to you. Just give it a skim. There's a long form and a short form. I stormed into the provost's office to finish my story and said, as far as the content goes, I cannot say enough good things about it, which actually turned out to be not a bad PR move because the vice president academic at the time was the gentleman who birthed it. But I said, but as a professional communicator, and I've got 25 years of that under my belt, I said, this is terrible. because it just lists 11 pillars of this LTRM, and you need to explain to me in an elevator in three, give me this in 3 parts, not 11. So he said something like, okay, Mr. Smarty Pants, you know, you can be on the committee. And we did a second version of it. But in true Royal Roads fashion, it was very participatory. There were all kinds of consultations with staff, with the faculty, with alumni, with the students, certainly, with interested people in the community. It's how this place does things, and it's very different from a traditional university, although of course we love knowledge. We are one of 9, I believe, designated research universities in the province of British Columbia. So yes, we like practice, but we also do research, but we do it for an applied purpose, working with communities to better communities. That's really interwoven into the ethic of the whole university. And as far as the BAPC program goes, I can express it in 3 pillars, speaking to the people that birthed it and looking at the programs we offer. We have to be fresh, we have to be current, and we have to be accountable. So every 5 years we do a review of the program. Every course is looked at. Is this still relevant? How can it be tweaked? Is it still responsive to what's going on out there? Because we want our grads to have skills that they can use to help them become their fullest self in the world and in their work. So the 3 pillars, first of all, there's theory, the idea of figuring out how to see things, different ways of looking at things, at the world. There's practice, the idea of developing different skills to help you in the marketplace, whatever the marketplace may be for you, and the world. And there's creativity. How to come up with novel ways to and innovative ways to engage people in things that matter. So the courses that we look at will straddle those 3. Some of them are more focused on one of the 3, others on more of them. Thank you, Alana. So here's in two glorious screens is a look at the suite of courses that we offer spread over the 2 years. You can take it in 1 year, which has traditionally been done on campus. Now with this wretched pandemic, it's also taking place online, but it's a full year intensive. The program head right now for that program, Dr. Chasten Remillard, he and I make up our school director named us the BAPC brothers. His demographic is a little younger. It's people who can just drop everything for a year, or whose circumstances are such that they can drop everything for a year and just do it full on an intensive basis. On the online side, people generally tend to be a little bit further along in their careers, as I said, and they're doing this in between everything else that they need to do, including their jobs. The idea is that this suite of courses will help you in some way or another to do your jobs better. So it's not like you're going away to a monastery, divorcing yourself from what you're going to be doing every day, but you will have to set aside time to do it for certain. So in the on-campus program, it's a year, even though you're going to be doing it online. And in the online program, you take it over the course of 2 years with a week or two's break. We don't call them terms. It's another thing about non-traditional Royal Roads. We don't really have terms. We go all year round, but we do have breaks between clumps of courses. I don't think clumps, Alana, is the official word that we use, but it worked nicely alliteratively with the word courses. So as you look at these different courses that we have, you'll see a mix. Some of them very theoretical, communication theory. Where's another one? Research methods has some theory in it, although it tells you how to apply stuff. Media and cultural studies would be very heavy on the theory, heavier, whereas a course like communication planning and stakeholder engagement or multimedia storytelling, where you do a media project or two, visual communication, public persuasion. These would be some of the more practical courses, and certainly with public persuasion and the multimedia storytelling courses are on the capstone and portfolio course. We can go to the next slide now, Anna. Are courses where your creativity would come to the fore. There's a strong practical bent to it too. In our introductory course on foundations, you'll be looking at very practical ways to identify and communicate your professional identity. And that continues through to, that thread continues through to the portfolio course. We've got some new courses as a result of our last review, and our next one is coming up, I think, within the next year or two. But sustainability communication is a course that, that I created. And I'm also working on one with an Indigenous scholar called Communication in Indigenous Contexts, which the next cohort will be on the receiving end, I think, of the first offering of that course. So we're very stoked about that too. The current topics course right now is a course on data analytics for communicators. That changes every now and then, but that's what's on the menu right now. So that's what some of our, a little bit about where the university comes from, where the BAPC program comes from, Bachelor of Arts in Professional Communications. So we're very much engaged in giving you the skills and tools that you need to become the best professional communicator that you can. And professional communicators, as we'll touch on later, that's a very, very, that term can be defined very, very broadly. When you meet Pam, I mean, she is a classic example of somebody who does what you would think a professional communicator does in terms of engaging in things like public relations and stakeholder engagement and organizational communication. But there are many other things that professional communicators do. I myself did everything from make documentary films for television, to write speeches, to do stand-up performance, to do communications planning and consulting. All of these fit under the umbrella of professional communication. And these courses are designed to give you a very diverse tapestry of a background that would help you in whatever channel of professional communications or forum or medium you choose to work in. So that's a bit about the program and our courses. Alana, back to you.
Well, Geo, I'm actually going to put it back to you because there's a career slide here that I think you can speak to better than I.
Okie dokes, just testing, folks, just testing. All right, I was just growing weary of the sound of my own voice, but thank you. You did punctuate it for a moment there. Jackie Lee, our distinguished and able program assistant, can also speak to the student experience. A good part of her duties involves engaging with students, program planning, advice, helping you cope with things, program changes, things that may arise for you over the course of your 2 years. But being a smaller place, we actually really do like to get to know our students, and where we are allowed to, we like to keep track of where they're going and what they're doing. And we're quite proud of our alumni and the things that they have gone on to do out there. So here's a look to flesh out that last point I made. Yes, you can work in advertising, you can work in broadcasting, you can work in business, you can be in communications per se, as you would understand communications to be. You can go on to government and politics. And you think about it, every job uses communications. Once in a classroom, I said, I ventured to note, I mean, can you think of a job that does not involve communications? How about lighthouse keeper? And somebody from the back row pointed out to me, well, Geo, lighthouse keepers communicate too. They just do it with light. And Morse code and other such fun things, and probably a lot more different things now than they did. If you go to the Fisgard lighthouse. There's actually another National Historic Park very close to Royal Roads University, and you can see a lighthouse from the 19th century. But I digress. We do that sometimes. I'm going from low tech then to high tech industries for sure, and international relations and journalism and PR, and of course theater and performing arts. And this is just a smattering. As I said, you can probably fit communications into any career that you think about. But these are some of the classical hallmarks or pillars of endeavor that our graduates find themselves in, and they do, in good numbers, find work in their chosen professions. Normally, that's outside of a pandemic situation, so I can't speak for the job market in the pandemic, because the research is not all in yet. That's the perfect excuse. All right, back to you, Alana.
Okay, I'm going to actually build on this because I do have a few examples working in student recruitment. I've gotten the privilege of working with a number of grads from this program. Actually, Duncan Lowry, who used to be the Pathways coordinator, was a graduate from this program. So he did a diploma in video broadcasting and then did the BAPC and then worked with me on my team for a number of years. And now he actually works at Ocean Networks Canada as their social media creator. So I think that's a really good example. Another fellow I worked with, he also was in broadcasting, did this program, worked with me for a while. Now he's living in Sweden and doing his master's in management over there as well. So yeah, I've really seen some people come through this program and do some really cool things. And a number of people actually in our marketing department also have gone through this program, and they're incredibly skilled at their work as well, including Karen, who does the marketing for our program here. So with that, I'm going to quickly go through the application process, and then we are going to talk to Pam. So just hang tight for a minute while I go through this. If you do have any questions about the application, please pop them in the chat box. We can also talk about it when we go into the discussion period, but Christine will be keeping an eye out for those questions. So in terms of applying, so our standard admissions is the completion of a diploma or 60 credits in communications, journalism, business admin, general arts, and then that would be including 24 second-year credits with a minimum GPA of a B from a recognized post-secondary institution. But if you didn't get a GPA of a B, don't fret, because we also have flexible admissions. So flexible admissions is something really wonderful that we offer, and it's because we started as a professional university and we recognize that people learn in all sorts of different ways, and a lot of people learn through doing, and perhaps there's people out there who weren't very successful academically, but they've been incredibly successful professionally, and they bring a really important perspective into our cohort. So in these cases, we will look at you more holistically. So you could be somebody who maybe did a one-year diploma, or you didn't get a B GPA, or perhaps you don't have any post-secondary education at all, but you can apply using your work experience. So we are looking for a minimum of 5 years in a related area to communications. So of course that there's many options for that, and we would be looking for evidence that you are going to be successful in this program as well. You might be required to do an academic writing and critical thinking course to prepare you, and it's really about preparing you so you'll be successful. You know, that's what we ultimately want at Royal Roads. It's actually another thing that I think is really wonderful about the university is people really want you to succeed. It's not about weeding anybody out. It's really making sure that people are going to have what they need to do well. And I also wanted to mention that there are a number of transfer agreements. I'm not going to torture you guys and try and read them all out, but there's many. And basically with the transfer agreements, it's a very straightforward pathway into our program. So we have relationships with all of these colleges, and basically you can apply using a really simple process of applying your transcripts, and you can apply even before you finish the program. So in those cases, you can get the word has escaped me. Mark, help me
out. Conditional offer.
Conditional acceptance, thank you. So you can get a conditional acceptance into the program before you're even finished your diploma program. And another thing that I think is really neat about these transfer agreements or about doing degree completion is you can end up with a diploma in something and then a degree in something else. So like I mentioned, my past colleague Duncan, he had his diploma in videography and then he had a bachelor's in communications, and that's really opened up a lot of opportunities for him. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 in my mind. So lots of great options there. So for the next intakes, we do have a blended intake that starts on March the 29th, and the current application deadline is December the 29th. So if you are thinking about doing this intake, then I would definitely get your application started as soon as possible. And then for the next on campus, whether or not that will be on campus, we hope so, but we're not sure. That is on September the 7th, and the application deadline is currently March the 31st. I see there's been a number of questions here, but I'm actually going to hold off on them because it seems like a lot of them are getting answered, and we can go into them when we go into the discussion period here. So in terms of how to apply, so this is a bit of a comprehensive list. So the online application, there is a $126.28 fee, and once you pay that, you can start submitting your documents. I'm going to highlight that if you are coming in through having the standard admission GPA or the transfer agreement, all you need is your official transcripts to start. You may be requested to submit some additional documents, but that's all you'll need. If you are coming through flexible admissions, then it is a more comprehensive assessment process, of course, because we're looking at you holistically. So we would need your transcripts, it'd be a detailed resume. So this would be not your typical CV. This is a multi-page document that's going to detail all of your work experience, projects that you've done, anything that you think we should know about that's going to add to your case for coming into the program without a traditional diploma. And then a personal statement. And this personal statement is actually, I would recommend that everyone do this, whether or not you're coming through standard admissions or flexible admissions, because it's very much about clarifying, distilling the reason why you want to come to this program. What do you hope to get out of it? What do you think you're going to bring into the learning community that's going to help us grow our knowledge? There's some guiding questions on the website that are more specific than that, but it's something that I think is just a really good process for yourself. And then it's something that you can look back on if you're, in the middle of a heavy project and you want to remember why you did this program in the first place. You'll have a document that you can read to remind you of why you're doing this in the first place. And then 2 letters of reference. So that is ideally 1 academic and 1 professional. But if you have been outside of academia for a long time, then we will accept 2 professional. They just need to come through a professional letterhead or a professional email. And financial aid, so lots of help available to you there. There's bursaries available. They can also help you with tuition schedules, because if you're looking at that number on the website, I just know that that is what you pay over the course of your program, so you can kind of think about it. You're paying per credit. So of course, if you're doing the more condensed model, you would be paying more per tuition cycle, and then it would be stretched out over 2 years. So that's something just to wrap your head around as you're doing your financial planning. And the enrollment services, so great team of folks there to help you through your application process and make sure that you're choosing the right program. So I really encourage you to reach out to them. Specifically, if you're coming through flexible admissions, these folks are going to really help you, guide you through that process, and they can even give you an assessment on whether they not think you're going to be successful or not at this point, and maybe help you think of ways that can help you be successful for the future if you're not quite there yet. So I definitely would say don't write yourself off. I think we tend to think that we don't have enough to get into things. Have the conversations, because you might actually be further ahead than you think you are. And with that, I'm going to bring Pam on so we can hear from her. Hi, Pam.
Oh. Pam, are you in the house?
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Great.
It's my privilege now to introduce you to the, as far as I'm concerned, the star of our show. No pressure. Pam Mathieu, she's a member of the cohort of 2018 and a graduate of the class of 2020, and Astronomy Alert, a star student, which is really saying something because Royal Road students have really impressed me in terms of their grasp of what it is they want to do and how they want to do it. The fact that they are willing to learn together and to share and to be their best selves is a privilege to be part of. But let's talk about Pam. Pam is the winner of the Founders Award for the BAPC online program, and it's awarded to the student who best exemplifies qualities of leadership, sustainability, and personal development. It's our equivalent of the MVP award in sports. But she didn't just impress her instructors and her program team, but also her cohort, because the Founders Award is a peer nominated award. It's her classmates that nominated her for this. During the workday, Pam is a contracts administrator and joint venture coordinator for Akita Drilling. Her company supports diverse industries, including geothermal energy technology, saltwater disposal and carbon capture, extracting potash for the agriculture industry, and natural resource extraction. As part of the marketing department, Pam assists all aspects of the company's North American marketing activity. And her responsibilities include PR with Indigenous partners, customers, and stakeholders, developing digital marketing strategies and internal communications, liaising with all organizational levels on contractual agreements, as well as creating and maintaining marketing and performance analytics. Her duties read like a BAPC curriculum roster. She's an active volunteer in her community, delivering meals to isolated seniors during the pandemic lockdown, helping at-home seniors care for their pets, delivering used books and craft kits to families and schools, and promoting awareness and fundraising for research on a rare genetic neurological disorder called Rett syndrome, which she does via a social media campaign. Pam embodies, in my firsthand experience, and more importantly, the eyes of her peers, the highest values for which Royal Roads University stands, and I'm pleased to introduce her to you. Take it away, Pam.
Well, thank you very much. That was an amazing introduction. So just a brief recap, I guess, about the experience is not like going into it, what I expected to get out of it was not what I expected to get out of it. It was so much more. It's a transformational experience. It is an accelerated program. It's difficult. The timing that they say in the program outline when you're looking and assessing whether this is something you have the scope to do. I mean, I remember reading it going 30, 35 hours a week. Yeah, right. It really was. It was that much work and that much time dedication that you need, but it was worth it. The sheer breadth of what you learn in a short amount of time. I vividly remember our introduction address that Geo gave when we did our first residency, saying that there's so much information that comes in the short 2-year program that you don't really fully grasp the scope of what you're learning until you're in your work environment after the program is done. And I have textbooks on my shelf at work that I regularly, daily reference again. I'm still following instructors on LinkedIn and social media. I've reached out to and still am in contact with many of them for help or check-ins or following their work. Like the network that you build and the eye-opening experience for how involved communications is in every aspect of what we do, especially at work, was just profound. It's a fantastic program. So sorry, back to the questions. What drew me to RU and the BAPC program? I felt at the time when I applied, I was a director of a medium library in rural Alberta, and I felt that I had reached a plateau in my career, that there was more that I could do, but I didn't have the credentials backing what I thought I could. So I was talking to a colleague, and they shared with me some experiences of their coworkers that it was a few of them that had gone to RRU and had successful experiences with it, that the model was different. I had tried distance learning at other universities, and I had trouble keeping with it and going all the way through. But the cohort model that RRU delivers it equips you with enough of a network that you go through it together, and when things get difficult, you've got those relationships in place to just help you through and work together through those difficult ones. And if you're in a class that you're struggling in, some of your cohort might be good in that skill set, so you can use the skills and the weaknesses and share it with the group and help you get through together. It was just fantastic. When I was looking at joining the school, I was worried about the demographic. I mean, I had been in my career for 15 years. Going back at a later stage, I mean, I was afraid I'd be with a bunch of people out of high school. Am I going to have anything in common? And at the same time, it's been so long since I've been in school, I didn't know if I could perform well going back. There's a lot of fears there. And again, the cohort model helps you get through that when you are in that experience. It was just awesome. So I think I touched on the challenging and rewarding parts of the program. What it takes to benefit from the program is really knowing your goal going in. Now, I thought that my end goal was getting the degree, but in reality, it was transformational experience. You end up feeling empowered and confident, and if you can get through this challenging, difficult program and earn it at the end, your confidence at work is just solidified. You know you can handle it, and you're given the tools to deal with problems that are thrown at you day to day. It's just fantastic. I guess that would do benefit as well. I use what I learned daily. I regularly keep in contact with instructors and my network from my program. We still have our Facebook group that we all talk to. I still phone them and we have our chats. It was really wonderful having that extra resource, especially during COVID, of what's going on at your work environment. How are you handling this on social media? I'm really busy right now with what's going on in the US, so we're scanning channels, and it's nice to have that safe professional contact to just check in and make sure, hey, I'm thinking of handling a delicate situation like this. What's your thoughts? It's just invaluable. So when you're considering doing the program, what advice I would give you is it's going to be hard, but it's worth it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So we are going to go into some Q&A. So let's start with maybe any questions for Pam, if any come up. I'm just going to bring down the PowerPoint now. So if anybody wants to either type or you would like to verbally ask a question, you're welcome to. But you know, if there's anything that you're thinking about a particular aspect of the program, or you know, this is a good time to ask those questions. You have somebody who just went through the process.
Yeah, the resources that RRU offers as well, especially on campus, when you're there, the library is fantastic, the employment group. I mean, wherever you go on campus, everybody is fantastic and welcoming. And even if you're dealing with trying to find information when you're working from the at-home portion, I would phone the library looking for a paper or getting stuck searching for stuff, and they're just awesome to deal with.
Awesome. Any questions?
No.
I'm curious about the demographic that was in your cohort. Yeah, I know you had mentioned that there were some concerns around like nobody being kind of in your age, but yeah, like what type of people did you find you were learning alongside and with?
It was such a mix. It was you really have people from every walk of life, and the way that the group programs were designed was you had to deal with people from in different areas of the country dealing with their own issues with family or work or transitional changes in life, because it's an intense program, and you really have to learn to work through those challenges, and you do with each other. I remember being in one group and we had someone in Northern Ontario, and we had an ex-soldier in Nova Scotia, and we had someone on the island in Vancouver, and I'm in Calgary, and someone else from Fort McMurray, and we were all talking about what we thought was a common Canadian issue, but everybody had a different take. It was just, there were so many components just in that one team project that we worked through. It was really helpful for me now being at an organization that's based for North America, understanding that one issue, terminology, all of that is different when you're dealing with those areas. It really equipped me going forward.
Yeah, I could really see how that definitely plays into just practice in general of like learning with all these different perspectives. It's like, oh, right, like the receivers of my this is who I'm communicating
Yeah,
to, is like all these different perspectives from
right.
all
And
these different parts.
we had,
Hello.
go ahead.
Hi. I'm actually wearing a mask, so I'm not sure if what I'm saying is clear. But this, oh, you can hear me, right? Yeah, I'm Miss Jose. Actually, my initial is there, L. You can call me L. But this question is actually not just for Pam, but this is actually for, is it Christine Weinberg? I tried to email her a couple of times, and my thing was I wanted to get the information about Royal Roads, about this specific program. I'm not really sure. It was about 3 programs that I wanted to get information with, and I was constantly given a response that I should access the internet for it. Go through how do you call go through the internet, pretty much. Like all the information is online. Now my thing is I was requesting for information to be given to me through the mail, and my question now is with I guess it's for Christine Weinberg. I still haven't received them. So I know you've been sending these emails, which I haven't really had the time to check. I mean, it took me about 2 years to get them checked. But this question now is for Pam. This program that you're in, it's all, just as what Christine was saying, was it all online? Or were you in the on-campus cohort?
I did the blended model. So we had
Okay.
we had two of the on-campus in-person visits that you really do your relationship building. You meet your instructors, you see the resources on campus that are available, and it makes it easier to reach out when you're at home. And I really liked that the program started with that, so I could get, I guess, acclimated to what was available. There's so many resources that help you through the program. It's even hard to just kind of dial down which ones you can use. So it was in person. A lot of it was online. The Moodle is great. The instructors are a mix of, a lot of them have real life experience as well as academia. So it was a nice, healthy mix of that. So like my advanced digital communications class, that instructor really helped us with tools that could connect us while we were doing distance. And I really think having that background, especially transitioning to this COVID, equipped me to be able to communicate by distance and do meetings like this where you're comfortable speaking and can really work with technology.
Okay, so you did say that it was on campus. That was your answer?
It was both. I was the blended model.
Okay, that's good. So the blended model, you didn't have to relocate, right?
No, not at all. No.
Because you said you came from northern Alberta. That's what you said.
Yeah, I'm in Calgary now. I was living in southern Alberta. I did my residency on the intensive period on campus. So we did, my first one was 2 weeks and the next one was 3, I believe.
Yeah, so that's great that they actually picked you to do this, what is this, a webinar? Is that how you call it? I know like years ago they used to call it, there's a word, eyeball. I know that these people like to, it's groups. Like I don't know what you look like you're younger than me, but the younger generation.
Well, thank you.
I honestly don't think I'm a millennial, but I'm like one of those. Is it a Y or X? I don't know what the tech people have a label for it. But we used to have these eyeballs where people gather together because we only see people on the how you call it. We just type things up. Then eventually you could start to see people, and now it's the Zoom. We use it for our meetings. I'm a Jehovah's Witness, and because of COVID, we could only have our meetings through Zoom. So our Kingdom halls are not yet open. So, but I'm really interested in not just a degree, but just as what you say, I don't want added stress because I am a single parent. I've been a single parent for many, many years, and I'm quite happy with how things turned out for me, but I still don't have a degree. I was working on it, and before COVID, I actually got sick. But yeah, so Christine Weinberg, I'm still hoping to get my information
Hey,
in the mail. So I don't
so
know.
Elle, she's actually put in the chat box that right now they're not sending out hard copy. We've actually been doing the brochure, so she'll connect with you directly after. I'm just gonna let you guys take this offline because I do have another question we need to wrap up in a few minutes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
How are
Elle.
you?
All right, so there was another question more about the online component. So Andrea's wondering about the 4-hour time difference, if that's going to play a factor in her program in terms of, you know, synchronous, non-synchronous. Maybe Geo, you could speak to that.
Sure. It's a great question, and one we try to manage in our now online residency classes, as well as our regular online classes, because in the age of COVID now, as program head, I am inviting my instructors to have at least a 1-hour session a week in an online course where people actually have to engage with the class in the way that they would in a classroom setting. And I myself in the past did this by way of an office hour by way of default, but in the class I've got coming up in January, I'm going to do a seminar kind of thing for an hour. So Royal Roads has actually been in the online distance learning endeavor for 25 years. So we've got all kinds of different video conferencing platforms and all kinds of experience, and a school of education and technology, and an organization called CTET, which is a center for education and technology. So we've got the latest, greatest in terms of research and technology, and to help students and staff and faculty negotiate that whole process. I don't know if that answered your question.
I think like in terms of, you know, if you're 4 hours ahead, so in part of the question might be also to, because the Collaborate sessions, you know, there are some recorded sessions, but you don't, if you can't be there live, you can watch them later. It's
right. Thanks, Solana. Yes. With regard to the 4-hour thing, the way I deal with something like that is I will conduct a doodle poll or some kind of poll at the very beginning to find out where people are at. Actually, I check with Jackie to be perfectly to the point. I check with Jackie and find out where everybody's from in terms of time zone. And try to structure the weekly session where we have a synchronous session at a time that works for just about everybody. And 4 hours, the largest time differential I've had was had a student in Newfoundland, so you can tack on an extra half hour for that, but we still managed to make it work. And in the spirit of cohort-based learning, we all give a little and get a little to try to make it work for everyone. But of course, it's understood that there may be times where you just can't be there, and then we try to accommodate that in other ways, whether it's a follow-up individual meeting or a debriefing session more informally with a member of your cohort or otherwise.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. And I would also say the one thing that you maybe will have to spend a little bit more time figuring out is team meetings. If you're doing a team project, it's like finding a time where you can all meet. But every team I've been on has been pretty flexible. Although I do remember I was in Portugal for part of my degree, and I had a team where we just couldn't find a time, so I was getting up in the middle of the night for our team meetings. But you know, it means I got to be in Portugal while I was doing part of my degree, which is pretty amazing as well. So yes, there's always a way to work it out, and Royal Roads is so good at finding ways to support that, no matter what your situation is. So I think from here, I'm going to wrap it up because I think we've had a great Q&A. If you do have questions after, you can definitely email me. You should all have my email because I've been sending you reminder emails, and I can put you in touch with whoever's best for you to speak with. I did want to make mention of a few things. One thing that Pam, you had brought up, and it's just something that I feel really passionate about and why I do the work that I do, and I love talking to people about Royal Roads, is the holistic growth that happens through these programs. You know, Royal Roads has this really magical way of being very rigorous and getting you skills, but also creating space for self-reflection and a growth in your personal world as well. So, you know, it's one of those things that maybe we're not even looking for. I know I have a colleague who said, like, I didn't even know I wanted this, but then, you know, she's in the program and she's having it and really enjoying it. Pam, like, maybe you could just say a word about that.
Oh, yeah, no, the personal reflection, the diversity of learning, so many things, it's a transformational experience. It really is. And you don't understand the full depth of it until you're going through it, and trust the process. It's designed for that growth. It's really truly amazing. Like you said, they do give you time for self-reflection. Some of the courses are actually have the self-reflection as part of the assignments, and it's hard to describe the full impact of it. But I think everybody in my cohort that I still continue to speak to says that as one of the things that they took out of it was a transformational experience. We had everyone from people fresh out of high school to mothers and fathers and family members, and we had job transitions and life changes. We had 2 babies. We had like so much happened during that time, and working together, it was just awesome. Yeah,
Thank you for that.
Took a lot of it.
And the other thing I wanted to mention is that Geo has a really exciting webinar coming up pretty soon. So I would love if you guys were able to join. I will be putting the link to sign up out on the follow-up email, but I'm also just going to add it into the chat box right now so that you can sign up if you're interested. It's going to, of course, speak to communication and in this polarized, changing climate that we are finding ourselves in. So please join us for that. And as I said, if you have any questions, please reach out. But we're right at 1 o'clock, so I'm going to let everyone go. And I hope that everyone has a great day. And Pam, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your perspectives.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, bye for now, everyone.
Have a good day, everybody.